Hey guys! So, as some of you may know, and some of you may not know, I love to bake. I also love cooking, and today I will be making my homemade bread, white bread, and I want to share my recipe with you guys. It's a foolproof recipe for anyone, even if you're just starting to make bread. It's quick and easy, well, quick, relatively quick, and easy, and it'll give you a nice, fluffy, and soft bread. Let's get right into it. So I used 2 measuring cups, a glass bowl, instant dry yeast, which I put in a glass jar, some sunflower oil, and all-purpose flour. You can use any kind, but this one is by far my favorite. Some salt, a tablespoon, and a teaspoon. Okay, so I already warmed up some water. It was actually boiling, and I poured about 50 milliliters of the boiling water into my measuring cup, and then I poured about 200 milliliters of cold water. Because your water shouldn't be too hot, it should be like lukewarm. Okay, now it's time to put some sugar into our lukewarm water. You put 3 tablespoons of sugar. I use the Demerara Gold cane sugar. I personally love this sugar because it's a really good quality, and cane sugar is also really healthy for you. And now it's time to add our instant dry yeast. So you add 1 tablespoon of instant dry yeast to your water and sugar mixture. You just lightly sprinkle it on the top, and then we'll cover it up with a cloth. Okay, now we will pour in 2.5 cups of our all-purpose flour into our glass mixing bowl, and add a half a teaspoon of salt, and give that a really good stir. Make sure that all the salt is mixed with the flour. Now it's time to check our yeast. Oh, it's beautifully bubbling and foaming. That's a great sign that your yeast is still fresh and ready to be used. Now it's time to add some oil into our activated yeast. You put in 1 tablespoon of oil into your yeast and give that a good stir. After you've stirred it, you make a well in your flour, and then you pour in your yeast, oil, sugar mixture. Give it a good stir and stir it until all the little pieces of flour have come together. After that, you flour your work surface where you're going to knead the dough. I like to put some flour onto my hands so that the flour does not stick onto my hands, because that is just really irritating. Feel free to put more flour onto your hands and your work surface as needed. Continue kneading your dough for about 10 minutes until your dough is nice and smooth on every side. Now we're going to place our dough into our glass mixing bowl. Pour in some oil into the bowl so your dough will not stick to the bottom, and cover it up with a damp cloth. Next, we're going to put some parchment paper onto our baking sheet. Make sure your
parchment paper fits your baking sheet precisely. If that's not the case, you can always just cut it out with some scissors. I use scissors to line it out and then cut out. Now, 1 hour later, your dough will have doubled in size, and now it's time to knead your dough again. Make sure you knead out all the air that has been building up in your dough. And then I cut it in half because I'm making 2 loaves of bread. Make sure to knead that little piece of dough that you cut off, and I spread it out and stomp it with my fist so that I'm sure that all the air got out. I'm spreading out my dough. I picked up the dough to spread it out more easily, and then I'm going to start the rolling process. You take the end part of your dough and then you roll it in, and then you press down onto the dough and repeat that process. So you roll it in and press down. Press down the outer part of the dough as well. And now I'm rolling the last part and pinching the ends together, and now it's time to put the dough onto your tray, and then you're almost ready to start putting it in the oven. Put it in the oven on 350 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes, and then voila, you have 2 perfectly baked loaves of bread. Afterwards, you can put some melted butter on the tops of your bread so the crust will get a little softer. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.